It's our pleasure to welcome now Jay McDaniel, Executive Director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. Jay, always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon.
Well, we were just talking about this mobile sports betting situation that would have, of course, affected casinos because the bill that was introduced by Representative Uri and passed the House would have required that the mobile sports betting platforms, in order to extend mobile sports betting outside of the casino properties, which is what's available today, they would have had to partner with the casino. It would have still essentially been operated, if you will, and front-ended by the casinos, but it didn't pass in the Senate, so we didn't get anything. But you know something about North Carolina. You and I were talking about offline. I was a little shocked at the amount of revenue produced for the state and just kind of grossing that up to what the gross revenue. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the numbers are shocking, but not totally surprising to me because I look at what Louisiana does, during football season, and now you're talking about North Carolina during basketball season, March Madness. But it is their verified numbers are $650 million wagered, about $66 million in revenue, and at an 18% tax rate, they took in about $11 million in tax revenue in 1 month, and that wasn't the full month of March, I don't believe. And
that is amazing.
It is. I mean, sports betting, you see it, it's out there, but when you really drill down and see how many people want to do it, just whether it's the intense gambler who loves to gamble or just those who do it casually, it's a ton of money. It's unbelievable.
I'm shocked. So over $600 million of gross revenue in a part of a month. It wasn't even a full month.
That's
right. If you extrapolated that out, it would have been closer to $800 million.
Yeah, wagered. And
wagered, that's what I mean.
But then, that takes about 10% typically. They would probably $80 million in 1 month, and so you take that out over the year, you're looking at probably close to $1 billion in revenue.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That, we're talking about a lot of money. So the Mississippi Lottery Corporation, just thinking, I'd serve on the board there, that's a $450 million a year gross gaming revenue through the lottery games played, and that generates about $123 million because all the profit goes to the state, so it's not a tax, as you know. So $123 million a year on that. So this thing did more than the lottery does in Mississippi all year. It did that much in a month.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's incredible. So it kind of makes you wonder if our estimates and projections here were not just conservative, but honestly just sandbagging.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, Gerard. I think that, when Representative Uri presented it on the floor, he threw a number out there, and some said it could be bigger. The peer report that came out of our task force meeting, I think, was certainly conservative. It put the tax revenue, I think, in the teens, 15 to 18 million.
Wow.
I just look at Louisiana. They're a little higher population state than us. They obviously have Texans driving over and wagering. We would have Alabama folks driving over and wagering. In March, Louisiana did over 300 million wagered. About $50 million in revenue, which at their tax rate of 15% was about $5 million in revenue in a month. So
okay.
I'm thinking, and Louisiana, 60 to 70 million in tax revenue in a year. I think us doing half that would not be unreasonable.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Share with us what gross gaming revenues, that would be the revenues produced by the casinos, are in Mississippi, and then the resulting taxes to the state from that.
Yeah, so right now our casinos last year generated almost $2.5 billion tax revenue.
Wow.
Primarily that's slot play. Slot play is the biggest, revenue driver. Sports betting is really about 2% of that number, but just close to $2.5 billion last year. So at an 8% to the state, it's about $200 million in tax revenue to the state, and then 4% local tax rate, another $100 million to the local. So you're looking at $300 million just in gaming taxes, and then when you count the tourism taxes, the room and the food and beverage, overall I think they put it closer to $400 million. Tax benefit, tourism-driven taxes to the state.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the report on our website. It indicates $622 million in the first quarter of this year was generated. Does that sound right?
That's right, because we're going to probably hit about 2.4. That's kind of my,
Okay.
I'll be honest, it's been dropping the last few years. Post-pandemic shutdown 2021, we had a great year.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, it's retracted about 3% per year, and we're kind of on pace and I think that's just the economy. I think
I was going to ask you. You feel like it's just general macroeconomic conditions?
I do. I think we've seen competition increases. Louisiana, not just with sports betting, they've upped their game. A lot of their casinos have. So Arkansas's added some casinos. I think you've got a combination of competition in the region and then just less discretionary income due to economy. But still did very well on the tourism side, seeing a lot of people coming in and playing at our casinos. But the $600 million for the quarter, that's about standard.
Okay. And then explain to the audience, Jay, if you will, how the tax revenue to the state is apportioned between the state and local governments.
Yeah, so the 8% to the state is not earmarked in any way except for the sports betting revenue. About the same time the lottery passed was when sports betting went live, and they did earmark that for the infrastructure for the roads and bridges. So that $5 to $6 million that we're taking in from sports betting goes into that same fund that the lottery does. Everything above that is just general fund. So the 8% on all the other gaming revenue just goes to the state. Now the 4% to the local is specific to that local jurisdiction. So Biloxi may have a certain structure that's different from Gulfport or from Hancock County, but each local jurisdiction earmarks that for different projects. Some of them are education, some of them are roads and bridges. So that's why in some of our gaming counties you do see some improvements for schools and things like that.
But the local governments have purview over that?
They do.
Okay. All right. So it's just the 4%, and that's based on where the casino is physically located.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And when they passed gaming, there was the taxing bills at that time set those structures up. They've been amended in some of the, I think Tunica amended it a few years ago, but for the most part, that was set up. The county gets this percent, and then 10% of that, 20% of that, 30% of that goes to a particular area.
What else were you keeping an eye on in the legislature this past session with respect to gaming in the state?
Yes, we had obviously House Bill 774 was the sports, the mobile wagering bill you mentioned. That passed very early, passed the House pretty easily. And so
I was there that day.
Yeah, so kind of the whole session we're watching that one, and it just didn't make it. There was again some. I think it was a good bill, but at the end of the day, not every casino had the same thoughts on it. Different representatives have different thoughts, senators, and so. But at the same time as we're tracking that one, there was another bill in the Senate, Senate Bill 2780. Which gave some clarification to where casinos could be located on the Gulf Coast.
Okay.
There's some ambiguity in my view and the Commission's view as to. So in my mind, it's not really ambiguity. There's just some people who think there are restrictive areas where you can't put a casino. There's some language that could have been changed to say clearly. This is where you can and can't do it. And that's what 2780 had in it. And so I think it would have been a good bill just to clear that up. But at the same time, I think you had the Senate tracking that one, the House having the other one. At the end of the day, I thought either they would both pass or they would both die, and they ended up both dying.
Are there any applications for new casino properties that the Gaming Commission is considering right now?
I don't have one that is pending on my desk, but I'll be honest, we regularly have the inquiries, but I don't have one on the table that's ready to be seen by the commission and voted on.
Jay, if an existing casino property seeks to expand, does that require approval from the commission as well?
Yes, it depends on the expansion. If the gaming floor is going to expand, if where they conduct gaming is going to be a new location, we would have to go in and make sure that doesn't encroach in an area where gaming is not legal. And then, of course, things like their surveillance coverage and are they going to be able to handle the new location as far as security surveillance? Yes, we do all that. If they want to add a hotel, have at it. Typically, if it's a non-gaming issue, they can do it without our approval. We're always happy to see expansion, obviously.
And you've got 3 members on your, is that right?
That's correct.
On the commission's board.
That's right.
Well, it is the commission. So.
That's right.
And I explain typically whenever I'm speaking about the lottery is the commission regulates an industry, the casino gaming industry. The lottery is the industry.
Right.
It's structured totally different as an instrumentality of the state. And a lot of people, you probably wrote into this, think we're all part of the same organization.
All the time.
Right?
They come to my office trying to redeem lottery tickets all the time. I have to send them to Lakeland Drive. But no, you're right. And that's why I think it was important when the lottery was created. There was some inquiry, like, could y'all handle this? I said, it's a different animal. I mean, you are running the lottery. You are deciding what tickets to sell and how to market. The casinos do that on our side, and we just regulate it. Y'all are the ones actually promoting.
Yeah, we're running the business.
Yeah, running it. So
as opposed to regulating the business.
That's right. It's a different animal.
Yeah, totally different. Well, Jay, appreciate you coming in and giving us an update. Thanks for all the good work you do as the Executive Director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Gerard.
Coming right back in the Element Wealth studio.